The doors are closed if you don't know Arabic. It's as simple as that. Arabic is a key, and that will let you into the house. And then there are other skills that you need to know to be able to navigate the house, to know where the kitchen is, to know where the dining room is, and then to know the adab of the house, because the house has adab if you're a guest in the house. This is the house that God has given us. So the Quran is Arabic, but it's not Arab. Uruba is related to a specific ethnic group of people that are called Arab. But the Arabiya is a tongue that anybody can learn. And in that way, they become Arabic because the Prophet ﷺ removed Uruba from the Arabic nature of the tongue. And he said, "Man takallama al-arabiyyata fahuwa Arabi." Whoever speaks Arabic is Arabic, right? So ethnically you're not an Arab, but linguistically you are an Arab. And in that way, the Arabic becomes our lingua franca, right? This is a term. French used to be the language of diplomats for a few centuries because the French were very powerful, and so diplomats all learned French. Now the diplomatic language is English because they're the most powerful. The Americans, the English, and then the Americans became the most powerful. But in the Muslim civilization, Arabic was the lingua franca, and to a certain degree Persian. Undeniably, in the Eastern Arabic tradition, Persian became extremely important. Indians learned Persian. Every educated Indian Muslim learned Persian. Urdu, which is a hybrid language of Arabic, a little bit of Turkish, a large percentage of Persian and Sanskrit. All of these educated people in what is now Pakistan, what used to be part of India or Hind, they knew Persian. So it was part of the civilization. Many great books were written in Persian. The Sunni scholars, many of them, Ghazali wrote in Persian. He was a great stylist in Persian and Arabic. So they mastered, and they were multilingual. So Muslims traditionally were polylingual in many places. They knew more than one language. It's very important to learn more than one language. The Prophet ﷺ, what he knew just in the Arabic language is not possible, humanly possible. It's not. And in fact, the Arab, the great grammarians have a qaida in Arabic. They say, لا يحيط بالعربية إلا نبي. No one can know all of Arabic except a prophet, because it's too vast as a language. For any Arab, just go online and look at Lisan al-Arab by Ibn Mandur, and just look at the word arada, the root ayn ra ba. Just look at the pages of meaning that come out of that one root, and then marvel at how one human being could know that much about the Arabic language, Ibn Mandur. But he was a specialist. And so that's quite rare. So mastery of the Arabic language was very important in the Islamic civilization. And this is why in the early portion of the Islamic civilization, Muslims learned Arabic in the same way that educated Europeans knew Latin during the medieval period. And in the later period, they learned French. French was the language that all educated Europeans knew. And today it's English. So you have Germans, they all speak English. Danish all speak English, because it's the language now that has become the dominant language. Historically, all educated Muslims knew Arabic. This was part of education. And even the ones that had very minimal education knew how to read Arabic. And most of our vernaculars, the provincial tongues that Muslims spoke with, were written in Arabic. So if you look at Hausa land, for instance, the Nigerians, they're now Nigerians, but if you look at the Fulani, the Hausa, the Mandinka, the Pwele, these great clans, West Africa, their language was Arabic. And this is why we have Arabic manuscripts from slaves that came to America. They weren't writing in any of their local dialects, they were writing in Arabic. And we have proof and evidence of that. And these were not people whose first language was Arabic. They were educated West Africans who were captured unjustly and brought to the Americas as slaves. And in the Bahia Revolt in Brazil in the 1830s, their language of correspondence was Arabic. And this made it very difficult for the Portuguese because they didn't know Arabic. So these slaves that were revolting against their unjust captivity, their code language was Arabic. So, and then if you look at the Berber peoples of North Africa, the Berbers became bilingual. And this is why even today, the Berbers who speak Shulha, they also speak Arabic. The Tuareg, when I went to the Tuareg lands, I met many, many Tuareg. They all spoke Arabic, even though Tamashek is their language. But they all spoke Arabic because wherever Islam went, Arabic went with it. This was our lingua franca. And we have to revive Arabic as a language that binds us. We're bound now by English. This is the dominant language because the dominant culture speaks English. It's a hegemonic culture. Its media has had massive influence. I've met many, many Arabs from Gulf states who speak much better English than they speak Arabic. And this is a crisis. And I would argue that Arabic is going to be a dead language if things continue as they're going. It will become like Latin because it's a very difficult language to master. And one of the interesting things about modern Arabs, and I really believe that a lot of the problems in the Arab world is because of the Darija. Because the Darija is like Ebonics. Ebonics is a very rich cultural language of African Americans, but Ebonics will limit people's abilities. It's as simple as that. And that's why a culture that wants to keep a people oppressed will leave them in their provincial languages. They won't educate them out of those languages. They will keep them oppressed. And so it's very important. And that's why you find educated African Americans that came out of inner cities are bilingual. They speak the language of the inner city where they grew up, and then they speak what they call the job interview language, right? Which is how to speak in good English. But if you look at Malcolm spoke beautiful English. The first thing he learned was diction, which is proper word choice, which diction is almost a lost art now because people don't know the meanings and the subtle differences, what's called fiqh al-lugha in the Arabic language, the subtle differences between words and why we would choose one word over another word to mean something very specific. Because precision, if we want to communicate, it demands that we be as precise as possible. And in order for the ambiguities to be removed. In logic, when we use terms, the first and most important thing about terms is that they're clear and unambiguous. In other words, that we define our terms. So that when we speak, if I say democracy, I know the genus is government, right? And I know that the difference is of, for, and by the people, right? So there's a definition. That's a working definition of democracy. Obviously, there are other definitions. If I say monarchy, then it's a form of government, and what distinguishes it is that the head of the government is a hereditary line, a family line. That's a monarchy. And then a dictator, the genus is government. The form is an individual who has absolute power. So when I'm talking about democracy, we cannot call, for instance, a lot of the governments today that are called democracies are not of, for, and by the people. They're of, for, and by the corporations. So this becomes important in terms of understanding when we speak the words that we're using and what they're communicating. It's very important. So diction was traditionally taught. And that's why the first major discipline of the human being is the acquisition of words, their correct meanings. Knowing 1, 2, 3, and 4. Because words have different meanings in context. I'll give you an example. I read a translation of an Arabic book in which the person translated in every sentence that the word qiyas was used, he translated as syllogism. And it was a completely inaccurate translation because qiyas means syllogism, but it also means reasoning. It can mean analogical reasoning. There's different types of qiyas, istintaj, istiqra, tamthil. These are different types of qiyas. And you'll only notice by the context of the sentences. And this is where domain knowledge becomes incredibly important and very difficult for people because domain knowledge takes a long time to acquire.